Now I'm going to show you long division when we're dividing by a binomial. And a couple things. Synthetic does not work well, and there's lots of little tricks, and I would suggest, if you look at the binomial we're dividing by here on number 49, do you see how the x in the binomial has a 3 in front of it? Anytime you have a number other than 1 in front of x, I would suggest using long division. It's going to get very tricky to use synthetic. There's lots of little tricks, and it's very confusing. So we're going to use long division here. Now, if you think about long division, so for instance, if I had numerically, I'm going to come back to this, 48 into, let's say 6, 8, 4, 7. Okay? You set it up this way. Well, this is my divisor, so I'm going to do 3x minus 9, and I'm dividing into 3x cubed minus 24x squared plus 21x plus 68. Okay, so you set it up the same way. Now, when you're doing numeric, you say, how many times does 48 go into 68? Well, that would be 1 time, so you put it up there. Now we have to say algebraically, how many times does 3x go into 3x cubed? Or 3x times blank equals 3x cubed. Okay? Well, that would be x squared that would go in there, because when I multiply 3x times x squared, I get 3x cubed. So we're going to put x squared up here. Now, just like you did here, when you put the 1 up here, then you did 1 times 48, which was 48, and you put it under here and drew a line. Well, now I'm going to do x squared. I'm going to multiply it times the divisor here of 3x minus 9. How do you multiply a monomial times a binomial? We looked at it earlier in this section. We distribute. And you're going to put it right underneath here, so I get 3x cubed minus 9x squared. Then we go to the next one. Okay, if you go back over here, what did you do next? You subtracted here. So 68 minus 48 was 20. Okay, now how you treat subtraction algebraically is adding the opposite. So what you're going to do, and I want you to do this when you do these problems, we're going to say, okay, we're going to subtract, but we're going to actually change this 3x cubed here to negative 3x cubed, and we're going to change the minus 9x squared to plus. And I don't change the sign physically. I put my new sign above, and then I know what my original sign was. It's just easier for me when I look through if you made a mistake and didn't get the right answer, for me to see what it was originally and what you changed it to. So now we subtract. Well, 3x cubed minus 3x cubed dropped out, and I have negative 24x squared plus 9x squared, which is negative 15x squared. So negative 24 plus 9. Okay, then what did you do over here? You brought the 4 down. Okay, and then you repeat the process. You say, how many times does 48 go into 204? And it's 4 or 5 times. I think 5 is too much, so it's probably 4. And then you take the 4 times the 48 and you repeat the process. Well, that's what we're going to do here. You say, how many times does 3x go into negative 15x squared? So 3x times blank equals 15x squared, but we're negative. So that's got to be negative 5x. So I'm going to write that up here, negative 5x. I take the term I just wrote up here. In this case, I'd take 4 times 48 and put that result here. Well, now I take negative 5x, and I would suggest doing this right underneath the divisor, writing down what you have, and I'm going to multiply it times my divisor of 3x minus 9. That way you can see what you're distributing. Okay? Well, actually, no, we carried down the 4. I forgot to carry down my plus 21x here. Now we're going to distribute, and we're going to write that right underneath there. So I get negative 15x squared, and then negative 5x distributed to negative 9 is 45x. We're going to change the signs and add, okay, or add the opposite. So this becomes a plus. This one becomes a minus. 15x squared plus, negative 15x squared plus 15x squared drops out. And now I have 21x and negative 45x, which will be negative 24x. Okay, when I combine them, after I switch the signs, then I come down here and I bring down my 68. So now I say, how many times does 3x go into negative 24x? So 3x times blank is negative 24x. Well, that has to be negative 8. So I'm going to write a negative 8 up on top. Now I'm going to take my negative 8, distribute that to 3x minus 9. So I get negative 24x plus 72. Now there's no other terms to bring down here, but do not forget on this last one to get your remainder to change the sign. So that becomes a plus. These drop out, negative 24x plus 24x. This becomes a negative. So I really have 68 and negative 72 I'm combining, which makes my remainder negative 4. And just like with synthetic division, then you write this up here. You have negative 4 then over your divisor of 3x minus 9. So it's x squared minus 5x minus 8. And then you can either write plus and then put the negative 4 up on top the fraction, or just minus 4 over 3x minus 9. And it's just like numeric division, very similar process. Now, I didn't show you synthetic on this, and synthetic doesn't work real well, but when you do one, especially one that doesn't have a number in front of x in the binomial, synthetic and long division will give you the same answer.